correct with everything. So clearly, I'm not a developer, but I would say that from my limited understanding of this, I don't know how, because it was started as a Kickstarter, huh?
Was it?
I think so. If I remember correctly, I can look it up right now, but I think that Mulaka was a Kickstarter. For sure. So Mulaka was a Kickstarter, which they collected. If I can't get to go through this, it's just their sort of Kickstarter page. Hopefully, this will get me to it quicker. Nope. Orders on Kickstarter. Anyway, what I wanted to say was that so they got 9,257 euros for this. So actually it didn't.
No, it didn't succeed.
It didn't succeed. Oh, that's a pity.
I think it didn't succeed.
It's a pity that it didn't succeed, but at the same time, apparently they did succeed because the game is clearly here now, so they found funding from somewhere else.
Yeah.
It would be an interesting story to see how that happened.
Yeah.
We should probably get in touch with Lienzo and see if we are going to get in touch with, but also to see if we can get some more information from them.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say was that from a game development point of view, I think this game is very well scoped in the sense that there's clearly this experience out there. It looks unique. There are very many unique elements to it, but at the same time, it isn't broken in any way. Not in any major way. So I think it's really well done that if for an indie studio to put something like this together.
Definitely. Yeah, and what I was going to say is that a lot of times, say when museums engage in we want to have an app or a game or something, and they budget for it, one of the things they often neglect to think about is to consider the maintenance. For things to work over the longer term, or for things to be updated.
It's also, we're talking a little bit about what we do with value. It's something that we always really keep track of ourselves. Ooh, that's cool.
Are chia seeds explosive?
I was just looking at that. It's.
But I guess you're magical, right? As a Sukuruane.
Chia seeds explode. I don't think so. I don't think they're explosive, but
we don't know why they used it in this game. Now I can spend my
you can spend your Korima.
My XP.
Which are basically XP then.
Currency, no, because
no. XP. Yeah, it's sort of XP.
But she said you could also buy gear from her, no?
I can quite help you with that amount of Korima.
Oh, and this is what it costs, and I have.
So this is something that clearly it's not necessary for this game, but this idea of actual, and maybe also because it is more or less true to what is happening in actual life with Bartle, with these people. But I've always liked to see a game or build a game myself that is built on a radically different economy. Because there are always these XP points or gold coins that you have to then trade for items. I kind of like to see some sort of a different economy.
But how?
Well, so I think, for example, one thing game that I would love to play or make is a game that is predicated on gift exchange. That really predicated on things, on the value of things, on social value, basically, the social value of material culture.
Yeah.
So you're not buying it with either maybe you could say that you're buying stuff or exchanging stuff for stuff like reputation. But in terms of how it would work from the mechanical point of view, that's something I've never figured out.
It's really hard because a lot of games will have items, but then they have this middle step, right? You don't just trade an item for another item, but you sell it for a value, like a sort of currency value.
I have this complicated thing in my mind, which is predicated on the Kula exchange, in which you acquire objects, and through the acquiring of that object raises in fame, but you yourself also raise in fame. That's sort of the fame is the.
Imagine if
that's the cool exchange.
And then
What's
if you
in this little house?
anyway, there's
Is it
it will be very cool. I have it in my mind still, but I have no time to ever make it, so it will be in my mind.
Maybe someone who attends the game jam at the culture arcade could
make
set
this.
up a cool exchange based game.
I
How
think,
cool would that
I think
be?
for sure. I think for sure.
Or
it
at
will be
Tipsy.
Or at Tipsy 2, where we also be doing a time-based workshop. I'm guessing we haven't put that up yet, but we should very soon. But yeah, man.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Yeah, no, for sure. I think it. Nice.
Ooh, there's something up there that you can do.
There's a lot that we could talk about with regards to the Casas Grandes, but I think we're just going to sit back and enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah, I really like them.
How would you say that this game compares to Never Alone?
It's a good question. It's one of the thoughts that I had beforehand when we were going into the stream, and honestly, I can't. I mean, there's a way that you could sort of put them next together, and then see, because they more or less have the same type of aim.
Same type of aim, same type of way in which they interacted with a local culture and a local game developer.
Yeah.
And trying to teach,
Well,
you know.
Never Alone wasn't a local game developer. It was a game developer from the United States that flew in a lot to the Cook Inlet.
I'm not sure about this. I think they were also.
They've set
No,
up
there
a
was
partnership with.
There was a
the,
partnership
yeah.
with.
And now
But they are experienced. They were experienced also in creating sort of localized games.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
They were doing serious games and things like that.
Exactly,
before that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. They were. It's basically this close collaboration with the people that the game is about.
Yeah.
No, for sure. But I think that at the same time, they're very different games.
So, okay,
Obviously.
obviously in terms of setting and culture.
I actually have no idea what I have to do now.
I think, well, use your vision and see if there's any.
I have my vision, of course. No, this one.
See if there's any things to go to. And then
Sometimes
go
you
to
just need some.
I need some vision.
some clarity of vision.
Okay, so
Story
for
of my life.
starters, the community and the landscapes and the setting are completely different. What I think is very different in terms of narrative is that Never Alone, really the story of the game is based on an oral history, a story that's been passed down through generations. So the whole setting of Never Alone is this eternal blizzard that the girl goes out to find the source of the blizzard and to end the blizzard, which is a story that has been passed down in the Inupiat community, and that formed the backbone of the game that you play.
Yeah.
And aside from that, it contains these little, you can find or unlock these little documentary-style clips in which they film together with community members and elders. Also looking at objects in museums and talking about their past and culture.
Yeah.
And even though this game sort of mentions the mythological story, it's not directly what you play through.
You have to work a little bit harder, I think, in this game to if you really want to go and understand the people behind it. I think just a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Because with Never Alone, it is literally a video pops up and you can see it.
Yeah.
Which of course it's also production value kind of thing that I'm sure that maybe was not part of the scope of this game. At the same time, I do appreciate actually that there's something for us to. But that's the type of players that we are, of course, as well. That we sit down and we're gonna be looking up and like, hey,
exactly
designs on these. Not everybody does it. So and maybe the way that they've done this in Never Alone is more effective for a larger audience. I wouldn't know for sure.
And
at the same time, what I like about this game is it allows you a lot more agency as a player to make your own connections to it. Because that in the end, Never Alone is a super great game, but it is always the same linear story that you always end up going through, and you will have these fun little stories amongst each other because we played it on a couch all together, and you ended up killing Ares the whole time. but if you're just playing by yourself, it's this one-on-one relation. But here it's
a linear story.
Well, it's very different, right? Because that's a platformer that you like a side-scrolling thing. You go through there very linearly, and this is open world. Yeah. Which is completely different, because then you have Kain going like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now.
Or Kain knowing exactly how to tackle a boss, and then Smoochie taking hours to do it.
Exactly.
And also one of the things that I think one of the things that they really foreground here with their choice to end up in different zones is that this is not a game about necessarily the mythology, but it's really about the cosmic geography, if you want to use an expensive word, of these people, which is entwined with the actual landscape, but also with their before time stories. And or I don't know if it's before time or actually, but basically their origin narratives or their stories. And that to me is also something very interesting, that it's really the landscape that is being put central here, in contrast to Never Alone.
Yeah. And the difference
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't say like from this. We haven't played through all of this yet, but I wouldn't say like, oh, this game is definitely better or worse than Never Alone.
Oh no.
It is. It is. It's not. I think on that scale.
No. I also didn't want to.
Right.
Just to sort of comparison. Just
no, but it's
how are the games different? Not
both
better or
games
worse.
Have really a different aim also. So Never Alone, one of the major aims that they first had when they made the game was really to pass on cultural heritage to the younger generation, and therefore one of the important things they wanted to do was incorporate their language within the game.
Yeah.
So it is voiced entirely in Inupiat.
Yeah, true.
While this game uses terms from the Tarahumara, although it is a language spoken, it seems still quite widely within the community.
Yeah.
Whereas this was really a problem with Inupiat, that it was kind of dying out, right, with the older generation. So they had different aims with the game, whereas this one I feel is more teaching others
at the same
from the source, right? They both do this, but I feel like that one was.
At the same time, of course, we all know from talk to developers how expensive it is to actually voice your game.
Very expensive.
So this is just also suggesting that they didn't have as much funds available as Never Alone here. Or just maybe that's just my general guess, that this was a much cheaper game to make than Never Alone.
Possibly.
But they did a nice job with this, because they actually use the kind of Zelda or Ni no Kuni kind of way of expressing these voices, like you know, with each text box, and that works really well. It's a cheap way, kind of, but it works. It's a form as well. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
To be fair though, it's probably way more expensive to do an open world game, knowing nothing from that part of game development, right?
True.
Than to do a platformer.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to anticipate for all these different places that someone could go and want to look for stuff, because you just have one path.
That's
more or less.
also, I think, why still, even if it's an open world, the progression through it is relatively contained by going to very specific places, and but it's not a truly open world in where you just run around, and there's zones in which you have to solve certain puzzles.
But it's still probably much more difficult to do that than to do the platformer style, in which you just go in a linear path.
But yeah, if I had to put my money somewhere, I would say that Never Alone was a more expensive game to make.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, but I mean, and also that basically Never Alone had a larger fund to begin with than this.
Well, what's interesting in that case, and again, we saw that this one was unsuccessful on Kickstarter, so we have to look into how this was funded. But Never Alone was funded because the community had actually significant funds, and they knew they wanted to use this on sort of cultural preservation. And very boldly, they had decided to actually go for a video game.
Yeah.
The well!
Well done, Kine. You're actually
Well,
pretty good at this
well.
game. Oh, wait for it.
You need to find stuff to heal
Yeah,
up,
I need aloe.
and you need to find the third stone. And then we're going to take a tropical ending of the day.
Yeah, for sure. We're on a tropenrooster in Dutch, a tropical schedule in here because it's hot as hell. We need a drink. It's hot as the Chihuahua Desert. Chihuahua State Desert, but yeah, we can use this one a lot actually, for sure. But yeah, no, it's been a pleasure to give a little sneak peek of what people can be expecting if they play this game in the Culture Arcade. And you know what I think as well is if we tell people that this game is there, a game about feminism, it could very well be a major attractor. You know why I think that?
Why?
Well, because I have an academia.edu, as many scholars have, and it allows you to track all the papers you put on there for people to read. It allows you to track which one is most popular.
Right.
So I, when I was really still doing a lot of research and thinking about shamanism, particularly in the context of my thinking about indigenous cultures of the Caribbean, I produced a little paper for the International Association for Caribbean Archaeology
Right. Yeah.
called The Dark Side of the Shaman, or The Dark Side of Behike. And this is by far my most popular paper on academia, because there are in fact a lot of people that are interested in shamanism, because it is one of those things that they are really drawn to.
Feel strongly about.
Well, the esoteric nature of it, and the idea that there's other ways of perceiving the world than we like to think about in our, doesn't matter if it's atheistic or theistic worldview. It really
As long
appeals
as
to a
it's
lot of
different
people.
on.
Well, not as long as it's basically this transcendent view of the world.
Sure.
It's really something that appeals to a lot of people for, I think, understandable reasons. Literally what you're doing right now, seeing with different eyes the world that is around you,
Nicely put.
is something that we
that's
all
the
want.
goal.
We all want.
That's the goal with the Culture Arcade,
That is
right?
also the goal with the
really
Culture
start
Arcade.
looking at people in the world around you with different eyes.
Right, for sure. I think that in fact is a nice wrap up to our playing session this afternoon. It's been a pleasure. Instead of
You don't want to touch the controller now. By the way.
man, I have to say you did a really good job for a controller that you haven't held in a couple of years. One of these Xbox, or haven't held ever maybe, because it's an Xbox One controller. But,
Actually, no. Well,
yeah, not ever.
couple of times, but.
And I think you did a really, really good job with it. I think we got to see a good stretch of the game, and
I would have loved to see some of the other more lush landscapes, but I'm sure that's something you get into with later.
we will get to see that in the Culture Arcade when there's somebody who's just going to sit down and just play this game for the entire day.
Yes.
I hope so.
Which people are more than
Which you
welcome
can
to.
do.
It's not like you have to come there and just play it for 2 or 3
Okay, so
hours.
is everybody just able to attend, or do you
Yeah,
need to
so what
sign up?
happens is that there's 3 different things that you can do at the Culture Arcade. One, if you're super intense about game making and really want to experiment, learn how it would be to make games, you can sign up for the Game Jam. And that would mean that you come to the Culture Arcade for 7 weeks every Friday, and you sit together and you really work on a project. And we invite speakers, game developers, artists who will really talk about their own experiences, and you can ask them what it's like to really make games and so on, which seems, I think, is pretty cool.
Yeah. Maybe
so-
something for you then, for the game you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
Oh,
you can
yeah,
come in every
for sure.
Friday.
I kind of want to do that at the same. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just
Maybe just
say-
to flesh out the story or talk about game mechanics or something, about your cool ideas.
No, for sure.
Why
It's
not?
there are going to be a lot of cool people that we're not going to talk about just yet that are going to be
There.
there.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a place that you just want to hang out there.
you want to see who the people are, then you can check the event that we actually shared today via our social media, and it will say who the speakers are.
Very, very true.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is these Minecraft workshops where you'll come in for a morning, which is either Monday, Wednesday, or Thursday morning. What you can do is either you book with a bigger group. So say you have some evening course or a group of students or anyone you think would want to do this, and you come to the arcade and you do a Minecraft workshop and
how
we'll
much is that
rebuild
gonna cost me?
heritage. Nothing.
Nothing?
Free.
A free activity for a whole school class?
Yes.
Are you crazy? What do you want? What do you want?
I don't know.
This is what you want.
Yes. Alternatively, if you don't have an entire school class to bring along, but you think, I really want to do this on my own or with a friend of mine, you can sign up for one of the Facebook events where you can just sign up, also free, and then we'll have a spot for you for different times and dates.
And
then the third thing is, if you just want to come and play Mulaka or any of the other games that hopefully we will have up in the Culturecade, then you come in on a Wednesday, Thursday afternoon, or on Saturday during the day, and you can just sit and play. And if no one else really wants to also play that one game that you're now playing and starts like nudging you, then you can play for as long as you want.
Sounds good.
But we also really like it. If aside from playing, you're
free.
Also free.
Also free.
The only thing that we want is maybe to talk. That's the only thing that we'll ask you.
I mean,
maybe to do a little bit. If you are there for 8 hours, you're really enjoying that one game.
We're probably going to talk to you.
We're going to probably say, hey, why do you really like this game? And then it would be nice if you say, there's a reason, and this is the reason.
Yeah.
But
or talk about the game. You don't even have to...
No, there's no reason.
You don't have to evaluate it. You can just talk about what you think.
But that's just it's just for people to. It's sort of a warning that there will be other people there that are also really into games.
Yeah,
also really want to talk about games. Like
we're not going to just let in one person at a time.
Yeah, but also we really want to talk about games.
We're going to be there.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Very cool. Well, thanks you all for watching this later on YouTube or having been with us on this stream. We are going to be back next week on Thursday with one more turn. When Aris and I are going to continue our epic conquest
Is
of
it the last
world.
episode? 10?
No, man. We did 10 yesterday.
Oh, there was 10, yes, of course.
So I still have to upload it, so you can edit it and put it on our YouTubes.
Yeah, I will.
But no, it's going to continue for a while still.
You guys are so slow.
Still not done?
Well, we had this...
Industrial age now, right?
We are almost in the modern age. But the problem is more that we had this emergency a couple of turns ago.
I remember.
Yes, and now there were all these lovely Viking cities that we just had to,
That's what you did? Oh my god.